have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network from the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios, count them, 2 miles that way east of the locus of evil on the entire West Coast. I can only be talking about Sacramento, Fornicalia, where the Capitol building, the Bill Mill, sits in its evil looming over the poor denizens of California. And late at night, when I'm through with the show and I exit that door, I'll be able to go out, smell the brimstone, the sulfur emanating from the Bill Mill itself. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, and it's great to see it back. Angel's going to be your bartendress tonight. She pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is, in fact, on, lighted right there to my left, your right, indicating that you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com. Listen and chat at shrmedia.com. But you can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page live and watch on the SHR Media YouTube channel. And also watch on the SHR Media Group Periscope page. Yes, we're actually on Periscope. Now, I tried something a little different tonight. I start these things in order. We have three streams that we run simultaneously. And so if watching these things you happen to see dropout frames, it's because the computer, basically the stream itself, is trying to keep up with 3 things simultaneously. So it's making life a bit challenging for the streams themselves. But tonight I started to do something at the suggestion of Sackhead Sean a little bit differently. Instead of starting YouTube first, I decided that I was going to start Facebook first, then YouTube, and then Periscope. And I'm hoping that might solve some problems. Hey, I'm just spitballing right here. And, of course, I still get emails and I get tweets from truckers. And my hits have gone on, I don't know if I told you this, but last week I got about, for the first time ever, I got about almost 1,200 views in one show. And that's just out of Facebook. And I've started to work the social media a little bit more. Sackhead Sean has started to work social media a little bit more. And I'm getting people from the trucking industry who are starting to listen. I'm trying to cultivate them to tell them that, hey, while you're out on the road, you don't have to be bored. You can listen to a great conservatarian radio show right here, just like all the people that are in the chat room right now. I'd like to say hello to Andy Wood. I'd like to say hello to Mike John Pasqua. I'd like to say hello to Mary Brockman, and of course, Beantown Billy, and one viewer who will not be unmasked, because we don't do that here. So thanks to all the truckers that are listening. America moves because of you. The trucking industry is great. It's a little bit nailed down more these days by technology than it was. On the other hand, what the hell isn't anymore? By the way, also, I want to tell you this. and this is going to be true, and I've put it out in my social media as well. And everybody that listens to me or watches this show knows exactly this. I'm all about vote red in November, hence until November 6th. Oh, and I should tell you also, November 6th, you got to be here because starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, Sackhead Sean, Sackheads BZ, moi, and Sackheads Clint are all going to be here, along with our many affiliates from SHR. We've got Jeff Dunitz. We may get Jersey Joe. We're angling for some other people to be reporters out on the East Coast. We've got the West Coast covered, and the middle portion of the United States of America, we don't have that covered. But we're going to have a great, just like we did on Election Day 2016, you can get all the results in real time right here, shrmedia.com. You can watch us on Facebook Live, the SHR Media YouTube channel, Periscope. Great ways to listen and to watch. And just like everybody said, Mary Brockman just said in chat, we need a red tsunami. So, as I've indicated, up until November 6th, I'm going to be doing my best to point out the obvious. There is great news out there for conservatives. We have to remain positive, and we have to get out and vote. We can't afford to be smug or complacent with the win involving Associate Justice, I love saying that, Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh. This is the time to double down on resolution, to commit to supporting anything and everything that isn't a Democrat, a leftist, or an American media maggot. I just spent $250 of my own money funding a very specific individual, and I spent $250 of my money supporting another individual, so I do put my money where my mouth is. You don't have to. Just get out and vote. That's something that I do. But we can't afford to listen to the bad news leftists that are going to ratchet up and continue to spew crap about conservatives and our chances. We already know they lie, they are biased, and they publish falsehoods with impunity. The American media maggots are nothing more than the publishing arm of Democrats and leftists. We have to vote red in November. We have to keep the House. We have to keep the Senate. We have to mail in our absentee ballots. We can let nothing deter us at all from appearing at the polls on November 6th, no matter the circumstances, no matter the weather. That is immaterial. Leftists, make no mistake, leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots want to destroy us. They want to eliminate us. They want to hurt us politically. And these days, they want to hurt us physically as well. We cannot let this stand. Commitment, resolution, fortitude. We have to stand up for America and for the U.S. Constitution and its Bill of Rights. Because if you don't vote, if you don't stand up for America, no one else is going to. Vote red on November 6th. You have to keep America great. By the way, I didn't want to do it, but I've come to the point where I went out and got my very own MAGA hat. And, oh, Dave, welcome. Good to see you in chat as well. And the reason I did this, I got dragged kicking and screaming into the Trump arena. And I have to tell you, and the Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots don't grok this concept. The more they push at Trump, the more they try to destroy him. The translation is, they're trying to destroy me. And that means they're trying to destroy you. By extent. As there was a meme out in social media, they're trying to destroy, the point is to destroy us. Trump just gets in the way. And he's pushback like the LDAM have never experienced before. So that's why maybe you can even consider this hypocritical of me. But I want to point out that not everything is bad news. Not everything is bad news. There's a lot of good news out there. And like I said, my point is to bring not just regular news to you, stories that I have stories here that I guarantee you have not heard today at all. But I'm That's why you come here, because you want to hear something that no one else listens to or that no one else is told. From a perspective that you predominantly certainly don't get via the leftist Democrats and, of course, the American media maggots. I've got so much stuff, and I have close to 40 tabs on the computer right here. I've got so many tabs that I had to print out an assload of articles because I'm running out of tabs on the computer, so I'm going to have to read them from pieces of paper. There's so much stuff to read, to go over. And one of the first things is, and I hope you haven't forgotten this, there are so many things that I need to tell you that put all things together. And I think probably that's where I'm going to start. We will have some happy stories, guaranteed, no doubt about that. And I'm going to start out with this tweet. We will get to happy stories because there's a ton of good news out there. You just have to look for it, but it's buried, and that is purposeful. And my job is to unearth that for you. We will get to happy stories. But first, I want to talk to you about putting things all together, connecting the proverbial dots. And this tweet from Representative Jim Jordan got me going on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the dots for you, and then I'm going to tell you about an electrical scam foisted by PG&E this week and this past weekend on California, myself included, from my cabin. I have a cabin up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, about the 4,000-foot level. That's about 90 miles east that way from Sacramento, because when I was working in law enforcement, I had to have a place to get away. I had to have a cave because of all the crap that I saw for years and years and years. I wanted someplace where I could just go up there and get into my cave and just pull the rock in after me, after having all the crap that I've seen for years. Well, that's my cabin up there. And would it shock you if I were to tell you that I lost about $150 worth of groceries and food in the refrigerator, in the freezer this weekend, because PG&E decided that it was going to turn off my electricity? Was there a storm, BZ? No, there wasn't. Was there a terrible fire in the area, BZ? No. Was there an earthquake, some kind of a terrible cataclysm that mandated that PG&E shut off my power? And the answer is no. So after I connect the dots for you, I'm going to tell you about a dangerous scam promulgated by PG&E, which is probably coming to a state near you, because I can see the linkage involving climate change. And I can see all the utility companies beginning to get together and rally around PG&E. I'm going to tell you all about that. And again, trust me when I tell you, you and I both know, because you've been listening to me. I've been on for just a little bit over a year now. I started in January of 2017. I'm sorry, 2017. Okay, so hey, wow. It's October already. It's October 18th. Today, by the way, is October 18th, the year of our Lord, 2018. But as of January next year, I will have been on the air at SHR for 2 years. In any event, sometimes California, all right, let's be honest. Most of the time, California is a perfect example of how not to conduct a state. Essentially, you can take most anything that California and the people representing California say and do the exact opposite, and you'll probably have the right thing to do. We'll get to that. So in this order, basically connecting the dots, telling you about the electrical system here in California. Then we're going to get to happy stories, and we're going to get to some other stories that are in here that I guarantee you have not heard, which continues to prove the rampant hypocrisy of the LDAM, what I call leftist Democrats in the American media maggots. But first, what got me going was this tweet on my confuser right here from Representative Jim Jordan. And it says this, basically highlights. Clinton campaign hires Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie hires Glenn Simpson. Glenn Simpson hires Christopher Steele and Nellie Orr. Christopher Steele funnels fake news dossier to Nellie's husband, Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr gives the dossier information to the FBI. The FBI uses it to spy on the president's campaign. And earlier this week, Glenn Simpson, involved up to his ass and beyond in this, decides he's going to take the fifth. Just like Lois Lerner, what does taking the fifth mean to you? I know what it means to me. It's in the Constitution. But these days, what does taking the fifth mean to you? You and I both know. Either side of the aisle. 2001 to 2005, there was an ongoing investigation into the Clinton Foundation. So a grand jury had been impaneled. Governments from around the world had donated to the charity. That's the Clinton Foundation. Yet, from 2001 to 2003, none of those, air quotes, donations to the Clinton Foundation were declared. Now, you'd think that an honest investigator would be able to figure this out. Look who took this investigation in 2005. None other than James Comey. Coincidence? Guess who transferred into the Internal Revenue Service to run the tax exemption branch of the IRS? None other than Lois Lerner. Isn't that interesting? But this is just a matter of a bunch of coinkydinks, right? Of course, it's nothing but coincidence. Guess who ran the tax division inside the Department of Justice from 2001 to 2005? That would be current Assistant Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Hold that thought, hold that name. Guess who was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during this time frame? Obviously, another coincidence. It's just an anomaly in statistics and chances, but it was Robert Mueller. What do all forecasting characters have in common? They were all briefed and or were frontline investigators into the Clinton Foundation investigation, if you can call it that. Clearly, that's another coincidence. Now, fast forward to 2009. James Comey leaves the Justice Department to go and cash in at Lockheed Martin. Simultaneously, Hillary Rodham Clinton is running the State Department, having official government business on her own private email homebrew server. Then the Uranium One issue comes to the attention of Hillary Clinton. So, like all good, steely-eyed public servants, looking out, of course, for America's best interest, she decides to support the decision and approve the sale of 20% of United States uranium to no other than the Russians. The Russians, collusion, the Russians. Now, you'd think that this is a fairly straight-up deal, except it wasn't. What did America get out of it? Well, you have to ask yourself. You should be asking yourself that question. However, prior to that sales approval, no other than Bill Clinton goes to Moscow, gets paid $500,000 for a one-hour speech, then meets personally with Vladimir Putin at his home for a few measly hours. Want to look for Russian collusion? I think I have an idea where you can begin, but wait, not so fast. The FBI has a mole, inside the money laundering and bribery scheme. Now, let's recall that Robert Mueller was the FBI director during this time and even delivered did you know this? He delivered a uranium sample to Moscow in 2009. No one tells you anything about that. Who was handling the Uranium One case within the Justice Department out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland? Would that be Rod Rosenstein? And what happened to that informant? The Department of Justice placed a gag order on him and threatened to lock him up if he spoke out about his role. One very basic and fundamental question. How does this happen? How does 20% of the most strategic asset of the United States of America end up in Russian control when the FBI has an informant, a mole, providing inside information to the FBI on that particular criminal enterprise? How does that happen? So very soon after, the sale gets approved. Simultaneously, $145 million in donations, air quotes, made their way into the Clinton Foundation from entities directly connected to the Uranium One deal. Guess who was still at the IRS working the charitable division? None other than Lois Lerner. Just coincidence. Let's fast forward to, and I use that as an air quote word as well, the House, the Senate, and the State Department. Trey Gowdy, who was running the 10th investigation as chairman of the Select Committee on Benghazi, discovers that Hillary Clinton ran the State Department on an unclassified, unauthorized, outlaw personal email server. So Trey Gowdy also discovers that none of those emails had been turned over when she departed her public service as Secretary of State as required by law. He also discovers there was top secret information contained within her personally archived email. Email belonging to her, and that's for a very pointed reason. So the State Department covers up, there are delay tactics employed, and outright lies get spewed from the mouths of John Kerry, then Secretary of State of the State Department. So they do everything humanly possible to cover for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Then who became FBI director in 2013? Well, let's see. Oh, that's right. That's James Comey, who, listen to this, who somehow managed to secure 17 no-bid contracts for his former employer, Lockheed Martin, with the State Department, and was rewarded with a $6 million thank you present when he departed Lockheed Martin. Wasn't that amazing how all those no-bid contracts just streaked right through the State Department? James Comey in 2013 magically becomes FBI director in charge now of the Clinton email investigation. After, of course, his FBI investigated the Lois Lerner matter at the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and he exonerates her. James Comey exonerates Lois Lerner. Mere coincidence. Now, in April of 2016, James Comey drafts an exoneration letter of Hillary Rodham Clinton, actually written by Peter Strzok sometime before the actual exoneration itself. Meanwhile, the DOJ's handing out immunity deals like gummy bears to everyone, one and all. They didn't even convene a grand jury. What do we know about grand juries? Something akin to ham sandwiches, having experienced them. Yeah, that would predominantly be true. Then, like a lightning bolt of massive statistical improbability, like a miracle from God himself, like the true incredible person that James Comey is, James Comey steps out into the cameras of this waiting press conference on July 5th of 2016, and he exonerates Hillary Rodham Clinton from any wrongdoing after he sets up a wonderful and perfect bullet point narrative for her indictment. Anybody starting to see a pattern here? I think even a 5-year-old could probably hold up their pants. Maybe they could hold up their pants at this point, but they could certainly hold up their hands. So it continues. Follow me. It gets deep, but that's the point. That's the point, is there's so many players in this thing, and you have to follow it all. Rod Rosenstein, and I'm going to come up with a name here in the not too terribly distant future that you have not heard about. And then when I conclude this, you're going to say to yourself, self, another reason I'm really glad that I listened to BZ. So Rod Rosenstein becomes Assistant Attorney General. And then James Comey gets fired, but predicated upon a letter crafted by Rod Rosenstein himself. So Comey leaks information to the press. Robert Mueller, a really good friend of James Comey and once interviewed as potential FBI director by Donald Trump, is assigned to the Russian investigation sham by Rod Rosenstein in order to provide cover for decades of malfeasance within the FBI and the DOJ. Ever wonder why the FBI and the DOJ refused to turn documents over to the House, to Jim Jordan, to Devin Nunes? I think you're starting to have a pretty good idea. FISA abuse, political espionage, pick a crime, any crime, chances are that this group and a few others did it. They were all the same players working behind the scenes and frequently in front of the scenes, and they didn't mind being on Front Street in front of all the cameras. All compromised and conflicted, and all working themselves fervently not to go to jail or prison. All connected in one way or the other to the Clintons. They're like battery acid. Everything that they touch, they corrode and corrupt. So how many lives have these two destroyed? I'll leave you to answer that question. As of this writing, the Clinton Foundation, in its 20-plus years of operation of being the largest international charity fraud in the history of mankind, has never been audited by the IRS. I can't imagine why. Did you know this? I bet you didn't. Let's not forget that Jim Comey has a brother. And it's his brother Peter Comey. So Jimmy the Leak has a brother named Peter Comey, and he works for DLA Piper, the law firm that does the Clinton Foundation's taxes. No, I'm not kidding. In fact, I ask you all to take the time, anytime, listening to this show live or later in podcast, go through all the situations that I've laid out for you right now and go to your favorite search engine and see if all this crap isn't true, to verify everything that I've said so far. Still in all, who is the common denominator to all the crimes above and still conducting her escape legal maneuvers at the top of the three alphabet agencies? That's right, Hillary Rodham Clinton. So next, have you ever heard of Lisa Barsoomian? Barsoomian. Your little search engine. Lisa Barsoomian. Let's learn a little about Lisa H. Barsoomian's background. I got about 2 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to come right back. So Lisa Barsoomian is an attorney who graduated from Georgetown Law. She's a protege of both James Comey and Robert Mueller. Barsoomian, along with her boss, R. Craig Lawrence, represented Bill Clinton back in 1998. Listen to this. Lisa Barsoomian also represented Robert Mueller 3 times. Lisa Barsoomian represented James Comey 5 times. She represented Barack Hussein Obama 45 times. She represented Kathleen Sebelius 56 times. She represented Bill Clinton 40 times. And Lisa Barsoomian represented Hillary Rodham Clinton 17 times. Between 1998 and 2017, Lisa Barsoomian herself represented the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, at least 5 times. Think about that just for a moment, if you will.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The Right Guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider thingies.
The
Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on SHRmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
First half hour down. Hour and a half yet to go. I'd like to thank everybody in chat. I'd like to thank all of American truckers who are listening to us right now live, or whether you happen to listen later in podcast. There are a ton of people that like to listen to us in podcast. So I ask, remember on Twitter, remember to follow the SHR Media Network at SHR Media Group. You can follow me on Twitter at BZEP, B-Z-E-P. You can like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook at the SHR Media Group. You can share all of my videos. You can friend me and share my posts on Facebook at Biff Zeppi. You can watch us on the SHR Media YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. Please like us, subscribe to our channel, give us a big thumbs up, and share those as well. You can watch us on Periscope at SHR Media Group and share our videos there, please. I'd just like to remind you that at SHR, we don't hound you for cash and there is no paywall. It's all free. I was talking in the first hour or the first half hour, I should say, about connecting the dots. So I'm going to continue to tell you about a interesting woman who is named Lisa Barsoomian. And I'm sure you're wondering to yourself, BZ, who is she? Who cares? Who cares about any work history of somebody named Lisa Barsoomian at all? Well, apparently the deal is somebody does, and they care about her so much that they've purged all the Lisa Barsoomian court documents for her Clinton representation in Hamburg versus Clinton in 1998 and its appeal in 1999 from the D.C. District Court of Appeals dockets. Somebody out there cares so much that even the internet has been purged of pretty much all information about Lisa Barsoomian. You can find some, not much, and you can find that out yourself. Historically, this kind of tends to indicate that the individual is some sort of a protected operative. Additionally, Lisa Barsoomian has specialized in Freedom of Information Act or FOIA requests on behalf of the intelligence community. And Lisa Barsoomian has also been involved in hundreds of cases involving the D.C. office of the U.S. Attorney, and for verification purposes, her email address is lisabarsoomian@nih.gov. NIH. Think about that for a moment. What does the NIH stand for? Oh, that's right. The National the National Institute of Health. You may be saying to yourself again, why that email address? That doesn't make much sense, except this is a tactic routinely used by people in various alphabet agencies to protect somebody by using another government organization to shield their activities. Let's go back to Mission Impossible. Remember the knock lists? Remember the knock equals non-official covers? It's a cover, so no big deal, right? What does one more attorney with ties to the U.S. intelligence community really matter? I mean, D.C., you can't walk a foot without hitting an attorney in D.C. Well, it all deals with Trump and his recent tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum imports, the border wall, DACA, everything coming out of California, the party's unrelenting opposition to President Trump, the Clapper leaks, the Comey leaks, Attorney General Jeff Sessions' recusal, and subsequent 14-month nap. He's been in nappy buy mode with, occasional forays into marijuana legalization or occasionally some illegal immigrant mix. Well, let's admit it. Jeff Sessions is about as effective at his job as a houseplant would be on a vehicle assembly line. I think you get that analogy. But last and not least, there's Robert Mueller's never-ending investigation into collusion between the Trump team and the Russians when at the very beginning of this expose, I gave you a little bit of information of where Russian collusion really came from. But, the Russian collusion that doesn't exist, but I guess it's as popular to believe in like the Easter Bunny or the fact that there's actual gold in Fort Knox. But wait, there's more. You're going to love this part. As you should already recognize, at least with me, there's always more. Why does this Lisa Barsoomian, whoever she is, merit any mention whatsoever in this narrative? Because, where does that come from? What is that? I don't get it. Why? I just think that I should probably tell you that Lisa Barsoomian is the wife of Assistant Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. And so I thought I'd give you a novel insight tonight, as to how some of this may tend to make a little bit more sense to you. Now, over this past weekend, I was the subject of a clever little ruse, a clever little charade by PG&E. That's Pacific Gas and Electric. And the reason I want to tell you this, and though you probably have already noticed that I don't go into a lot of California news because there's so much crap about California these days, and it just never stops, that I would be on a constant tirade about the stupidity in California. Well, let me turn this up here a little bit. It's always nice to be able to see the laptop and turn up the lighting. Something recently occurred, like I said, this past weekend by way of PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. And that is, they came up with what I consider to be a novel new way to hurt customers. So, like I said, let there be no mistake. I've had a house in the Sierra Nevada mountains since 1993. I'm at about the 4,000-foot level, just below Blue Canyon. It's a gorgeous and scenic area with a lot of great local people. I moved there because, as a law enforcement officer, as I indicated, I wanted to get away from the insanity and the chaos of my life. I'll work in an urban rat cage because I'm paid. I just didn't want to live in an urban rat cage. Hey, Kaiser Schuff, great to see you, sir. Good to see you in chat. And I'm also up there a PG&E customer, Pacific Gas and Electric. Of course, this being California, and because California is all about choice, right, I have loads of choices for my utility company up there, right? No, I have one choice, PG&E. I get my power from PG&E, or I rely solely on solar or a generator. Okay, so it's out because they're extremely expensive. You want to get one to power the whole house? You're looking at about $3,000 to $5,000. And so I don't have either one. Let's just say that PG&E, and I'll make it simple, PG&E has a monopoly on my power, and I'll just leave it at that. However, I'm not alone. A great deal of PG&E customers don't have a choice of power companies either. PG is pretty much it, okay, in terms of certain areas of California. I'm suspecting that's by design, but hey, what the hell do I know? But that's why what happened this past weekend is important, and why more people need to listen up and wake up. Things in California aren't going to get any better. They're only going to get worse, if for no other reason than those who lead California are unmitigated leftists who have no concept of so-called unforeseen circumstances and consequences, which in California are always foreseeable if your eyes are actually open, and who live in their own kind of bubbly, insular, and purple-skied environments. So what happened to PG&E customers? This is an article from USA Today. So I can't say that that's a right-leaning agency, is it not? It says this: PG&E keeps nearly $60,000 Northern California customers in the dark to reduce wildfire risk. At first glance, you're thinking, wow, they're just trying to save us all. A utility company purposely shut off electricity to nearly 60,000 Northern California customers Sunday night, aiming to reduce wildfire risks from power lines during extreme winds. Pacific Gas and Electric plan to restore power to 70% of affected customers in the North Bay. So this goes all the way over to San Francisco, too. Okay, just thought I'd tell you. And the Sierra foothills around where I am, below where I am, late Monday night. So crews inspect lines for safety by helicopter vehicles. They're on foot, and the remainder will have power sometime Tuesday. So that was a day and a half ago. They went without power for 24 hours and beyond. I was without power for at least 24 hours, perhaps more. I wasn't there all the time. So when I decided to come back, I would guesstimate that I lost maybe $100 to $150 in food because it wasn't cold anymore and it wasn't frozen anymore. Now multiply me times 60,000 customers who probably, and supermarkets and businesses as well. While it was the first time the company shut off power for public safety, see, that's it, public safety, PG&E announced its criteria and procedures for such an event in June, and spokesperson Paul Doherty said, after wildfires devastated Northern California's wine country last October, he said, but it's what's not being said by PG&E, which is why I need to tell you this. PG&E developed its Community Wildfire Safety Program division to make power grids and communities more resilient. Okay, so very important words that we have to listen to here. More resilient.
After a devastating wildfire season in California, one power company is shutting off power to tens of thousands of customers to prevent more. In a press release, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, PG&E for short, said it would begin preemptively turning off power to around 87,000 customers in extreme fire risk areas starting Sunday night. As of Monday morning, the company had cut power to more than 59,000 customers in the Sierra Foothills and North Bay communities. The outages are expected to last until Tuesday at the latest. It's an unprecedented move for PG&E, but it's part of the power company's new strategy to try and reduce wildfires after being partially blamed for causing more than a dozen fires in the October 2017 fire siege. CAL FIRE says investigators discovered...
Listen to this. Now the truth begins to escape bit by bit.
Some of the wildfires were caused by trees or tree limbs falling onto PG&E power lines, and claimed the power company failed to follow state laws that require adequate clearance between trees and power lines. CAL FIRE issued a red flag warning for much of Northern California and multiple counties in the southern part of the state because of strong winds and low humidity levels. CAL FIRE expects the warning to last through Tuesday night.
Okay, this is nothing new. CAL FIRE has done this before in California. California is going through a drought. California has been through a drought before. We either have floods or we have droughts in California. It's cyclical. That's what happens. That's why we do it. But you have to ask yourself, what's different? Why now? Well, let's continue. CAL FIRE, PG&E equipment caused 12 Northern California fires during the October firestorm. CAL FIRE investigators said Friday that equipment owned and operated by PG&E ignited 12 wildfires that raged in hot, dry weather and high winds across Northern California in October, charring hundreds of square miles in Sonoma County and beyond, destroying thousands of structures, and hey, they only killed 18 people. The utility was in violation of state code on 8 of those fires, failing to clear brush around its lines and properly maintain its power equipment, according to state fire investigators. CAL FIRE found violations in the Norbom, Patrick, Pythian, Adobe, and Pocket fires that burned in Sonoma and Napa counties, the Atlas Fire in Napa County, the Sulphur Fire in Lake County, and the Blue Fire in Humboldt County. The agency forwarded its reports to district attorneys in those jurisdictions for review, meaning PG&E, we might be looking at some criminal actions for you. This is from NPR.org. PG&E power lines blamed for Northern California wildfires. Roll with me on this, folks. Roll with me. I know it's a lot of detail right now, and I may end up going a little bit beyond 9 o'clock with just this story. But there's a reason I'm giving it to you now. There's a reason that I'm portraying it to you in this fashion, because if you think that it doesn't affect you, if you think that the potentiality doesn't exist to come roost right in your state and your back door, oh, you would be so wrong when I tell you easily how this could happen. As I indicate from NPR.org, PG&E power lines blamed for Northern California wildfires. Downed power lines owned by utility giant Pacific Gas and Electric are being blamed for a dozen Northern California wildfires last fall. The findings by state officials could have a significant financial impact on PG&E. See what I'm saying there? The report by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection links electric power and distribution lines with 12 fires that killed 18 people. The trouble started when trees and branches came into contact with power lines, and wind gusts of 70 miles an hour pushed wildfires faster than firefighters could respond. And again, a list of all the various wildfires that are involved. The Redwood Fire, for example, in just Mendocino County alone, started the evening of October 8th and burned a total of 36,523 acres, destroying 543 structures. There were 9 civilian fatalities in just that fire alone. CAL FIRE determined the fire started in 2 locations and was caused by tree or parts of trees falling onto PG&E power lines. State law says utility companies can be held liable for the costs of firefighting, even when they haven't violated safety rules. Also, listen to this. PG&E is facing more than 50 lawsuits filed by fire victims arguing the utility is responsible for fires that scorched the wine country counties of Napa and Sonoma last year. An earlier investigation found PG&E's failure to clear or trim trees near power lines caused 3 wildfires in Butte, Nevada counties in the fall. PG&E, of course, hey, take care, Mary. Have a good night. PG&E, of course, is facing more than 50 lawsuits by fire victims arguing the utility is responsible, and an earlier investigation found that PG&E's failure to clear trees and power lines. Okay, like I said, PG&E is not going to be taking that crap lying down. They pressed for changes in the law, so they went to California. They went to the Bill Mill, 2 miles that way, the locus of evil on the entire left coast. And they made a proposition. They said, hey, so what happens is I suspect there was some love somewhere. You see what I'm saying? Some love somewhere. Because here's the headline. California lawmakers pass bill on PG&E wildfire liability. California's legislators, possibly having felt some love, passed a bill late on Friday that would help the utility, Pacific Gas and Electric Corporation, avoid potentially crippling liabilities for wildfires that ravaged northern parts of the San Francisco Bay Area last year. The bill, which passed 29-4 in the Senate and 45-10 in the Assembly, meaning that was passed by Democrats, requires approval by Democrat Governor Jerry Brown, which he amazingly did sign. Some fires in the north of the Bay Area were caused by trees toppling or making contact with PG&E power lines. Democrat Senator Bill Dodd said the bill was needed to spare customers from big increases in energy costs. Without it, ratepayers will be left holding the bag and communities will needlessly suffer, he said. You see what's going on here? PG&E is saying that you have to take them off the hook or your rates will rise. Threats, anybody? Table for 16 million ratepayers? But here's the scalding truth that PG&E doesn't want you to know. This is from capradio.org. California's wildfire liability law won't change this year, dealing a setback to utilities like PG&E. Again, you see where I'm going on this. Pacific Gas and Electric has spent millions of dollars in hopes of saving billions as it battles to change California's wildfire liability law. But PG&E and other investor-owned utilities in California appear to have lost the battle, at least for this year. The legislature adjourns on August 31st. I think it's safe to say that inverse condemnation is off the table, Senator Bill Dodd told Cap Radio Friday evening, referring to the state's current liability law that the utilities have been fighting so hard to change. Dodd co-authored the Joint Senate Assembly Conference Committee tasked with crafting wildfire preparedness and inverse condemnation, eminent domain. They must also take responsibility for damages. So if a utility is found to have been negligent, its shareholders got to foot the bill. Otherwise, it can pass the costs onto its ratepayers. Governor Jerry Brown released a proposal last month that sided with the utilities. He wants to require a court to weigh in as to whether utilities' actions were reasonable and to balance the public benefit of the electrical infrastructure with the harm caused to private property. It would also require the court to take into account a utility's proportionate fault in causing a fire. Now, currently, because utilities must pay even if it's not at fault, they bear the entire liability burden when its equipment is involved in a fire's cause. PG&E said that even that proposal, labeled by opponents as a utility bailout, PG&E said, "Oh, that didn't go far enough." Okay, now you have an idea of why PG&E has reacted as it does. It's not yet been protected. So I have to be blunt. So what has to happen is that it has to make its customers suffer in the uncovered interim, literally suffer. Now, this is a novel and new approach utilized by PG&E in order to make customers pay for their lawsuits, literally and figuratively. The tactic appeals to leftists because they're convinced to their very souls that once called global warming, climate change is killing the planet. Note to leftists, the climate always changes and the weather always cycles. So woohoo, yippee-ti-o-ti-yay. Score one for PG&E. Their tactic benefits them because, well, if PG&E had to feel some pain, the customers who instigated those awful lawsuits should have to feel their own pain as well. After all, let's realize the obvious. The bulk of PG&E customers constitute a captive audience. It's not like I can unplug from PG&E. They can't. I can't. Not if you like electricity. So you got to realize it's a win-win for PG&E. They can shut your power down during questionable times, air quote. By doing this, they may avoid some lawsuits. So in the name of climate change and doing the right thing for the planet, PG&E gets to literally, potentially avoid lawsuits, which is primary. And customer cash still gets sent to them. I still have to pay my bills. In the meantime, hey, your medical devices crash, you can't cook, you lose all the food in your refrigerators, your freezers, you lose in the foothills, you lose your water supply because your pumps don't run, your communications, your electric way of life, and oh yeah, hey, in the future and now, your means of transportation if you have an electric car. Everything these days depends upon a constant flow of electricity, everything. And trust me, here's the deal. This is going to become the new normal from now on in California. Once various utilities see this scheme is working, those utilities who may be in sort of a, what they determine to be sort of some kind of a like wildfire situation, no matter where they may be, in no matter whose state, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, the plan is going to be implemented. Southern California Edison already thinks this is a great idea. This is a stellar idea whose time has come. This is how stupid California has become. It wants all electric vehicles by 2040. Gas vehicles would be banned by them, by the state of California. CalISO, which is in Folsom, California, east of Sacramento. CalISO is the independent system operator that has control of electricity in all of California. They already can't handle the load on certain hot days now. What makes anybody think the load is going to lessen? The electrical load is going to increase at a rapid rate because of all the illegals flooding into the state of California in order to partake of the largesse of the state of California. Come one, come all. That means infrastructure is taxed. That includes electricity. That includes PG&E, water, all of the infrastructure, roads, etc. Of course, though, in order to reach the lofty goal of all electric cars by 2040, California has now committed, this is at least the good part, California has now committed to building at least one electric generation station per 5 years until then, right? Hardly. California has already decreed that its last nuclear power plant is going to close in 2025. Pacific Gas and Electric's PG&E decision to shutter its 2,200 megawatt Diablo Canyon nuclear facility by 2024 or 2025 leaves a gaping hole in capacity that needs to be filled. The utility proposed a $1.3 billion energy efficiency investment as part of a 2016 agreement with renewable energy advocates over shuttering the plant. Renewable energy, like all those big windmills that on windy days, they're not all turning. Like solar, like thermal, like dams running on penstocks. Oh, wait, this is California. It can't build any more reservoirs. This is California. It can't build any more dams. Of course, as you realize, California already has a massive host of alternative power plant construction plans lined up and shovel-ready and ready to go, right? As an aside, by the way, I just thought I'd throw this in here too. Democrat socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants the U.S. to abandon fossil fuels entirely. Apparently, she's never heard of this funny thing called plastic, amongst other things. So, make no mistake, folks, listening live, in chat, watching, or listening in podcast. California is a cautionary tale. Let California be a continuing example of what not to do in this and many other situations. Learn from our stupidity, our excess, our vast leftist influence of those who control California. In the meantime, the stupidity and the fleecing marches on. PG&E is just one example. Screw the customer, enhance you. Okay, I get it. So that's what's happening in the state of California. And it's a great thing. Look, we're saving the environment. We're helping minimize climate change, and we're keeping fires down. Translated, we're making sure that we don't get our asses sued. And this is a great thing. If it occurs in California, which is a leftist state, don't think that there isn't somebody somewhere in your state thinking that, hey, why should we even do this because of wildfires? If things are a little bit challenging, or if we're subject to lawsuits, or if our pockets are subject to being turned upside down and we're a utility, this sounds like a great idea.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider thingies.
The
Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
We're back. It's the second hour. The first hour, she went so fast. Where did she go? And again, thanks to America's Truckers for listening in tonight, either on podcast or live. America moves because of you. Shipping, that's nice. Trains, they're great. They got to stay on tracks. But eventually, ships and trains come to a trucking point, and that's where everything gets distributed out into the rest of the United States of America. So thanks to truckers for doing what you do. Thank you. God bless. Be safe. I just told you why PG&E boned California. And the funny thing is, just like I said in chat, hey, isn't it odd that this only became an issue, turning off the power, after PG&E got its arses sued to the tune of millions and millions of dollars? Up until that point, the same conditions existed in California for years, but they didn't get their butts sued like this for years. Imagine that. Here's another article. This is from the Sacramento Bee, which is the leftist organ here in California. I used to work for the Sacramento Bee. Well, I used to work for the McClatchy organization in KFBK, and then I was a stringer for the Sacramento Bee. And then I also shot some video occasionally for KOVR and shot, I'm sorry, not photos for the Sacramento Bee as a stringer, not KOVR. And I was on KFBK on the radio. So I kind of know how the media game is played, let's say. But the Sacramento Bee put out this headline just yesterday. Blackout blackmail or last resort. Get it? Blackout blackmail? Isn't that odd? Just what I said. PG&E defends Northern California power cut. Right in the first paragraph, I knew this guy was biased because the story starts off, a wine country innkeeper lost thousands of dollars worth of business from lost diners and guests. Stop. It wasn't just one country innkeeper in Napa and Sonoma. It was all of them. If they had power, if they didn't have generators, they lost everything. A Placerville farm couple had trouble getting water to its livestock because the electric pumps on their wells weren't operating. Stop. Every Placerville farm couple operating on electric pumps for water for themselves and for livestock, every one of them lost their power and their ability to provide water to themselves and any of their animals. A small-town grocery in Lake County was left with a freezer full of spoiled food. Stop. Every small-town grocery store that didn't have its own big-ass generator lost all of its frozen foods and everything that needed to be kept cold. So I'm done with reading this crap. I'm just done. I was going to go through this, but I mean, this is just pissing me off. All the rampant bias. Enough of this. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this is how it's crafted. And I'm just tired of the leftism, and I'm just tired of the bias. So I think you know what time it is.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
So let's talk about the happy stories that nobody else is going to tell you, except me. And that's my job. I look for this stuff. It's out there if you know where to find it. Here's a great headline. Watchdog presses FEC, that's the Federal Election Commission, for audit on Maxine Waters' fundraising practices. That's a happy story. California Democrat Representative Maxine Waters is facing a new complaint about an obscure fundraising tactic that rakes in thousands from state politicians in exchange for being listed on her slate mailers, this time involving supporters of a former Los Angeles mayor defeated in the June gubernatorial primary. The National Legal and Policy Center, a conservative watchdog group, filed a complaint with the Federal Election Commission against Waters, her campaign, and a pro-charter school group called Families and Teachers for Antonio Villagroso, which backed the former Democrat mayor of Los Angeles. The pro-Villagroso group paid $25,000 to the Citizens for Waters Committee on May 25th to include Villagroso in her slate mailer, according to the complaint. FEC guidelines, however, say only a candidates committee can pay for the mailers. Sample ballots traditionally mailed out to about 200,000 voters in Los Angeles, highlighting whom Waters supports. Waters mailers, as an addendum, have faced scrutiny since 2010 because the campaign, since 2004, has paid Maxine Waters' daughter, Karen Waters, or her public relations firm, Progressive Connections, to produce, print, and mail the sample ballots. Isn't that grand how that works out? Nothing like keeping your corruption in-house. Come on, keep it in-house. We don't want to give it to the proles, the serfs, the groundlings, the people that don't deserve it. We worked long and hard for our corruption, and we're not just going to give it away to you guys. You guys don't deserve it. We worked long and hard for that. Here's another one. Another good story, happy story. State Department provided, quote, clearly false statements to derail requests for Clinton documents, a shocked federal judge says. And at this point, you're saying, Hillary Clinton involved in corruption? Come on, get serious. Get serious. This isn't true. This can't happen to Hillary Clinton. In a combative exchange at a hearing on Friday in Washington, D.C., a federal judge unabashedly accused career State Department officials, listen to this, career State Department officials, what's that? Oh, that's right, the deep state, of lying and signing clearly false affidavits to derail a series of lawsuits seeking information about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email server and her handling of the 2012 terrorist attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya. Parenthesis, where 4 Americans lost their lives, because as far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, what difference does that make? U.S. District Court Judge Royce Lamberth also said he was shocked and dumbfounded when he learned that FBI had granted immunity to former Clinton Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills during its investigation into the use of Clinton's server. According to a court transcript of his remarks, go back to the first hour. Didn't I tell you that the FBI handed out immunity like gummy bears? And here it is again. I had myself found that Cheryl Mills had committed perjury and lied under oath in a published opinion I had issued in a Judicial Watch case where I found her unworthy of belief, and I was quite shocked to find out she had been given immunity by the Justice Department in the Hillary Clinton case, Lamberth said during the hearing. The Department of Justice's Inspector General, IG Michael Horowitz, noted in a bombshell report in June that it was inconsistent with typical investigative strategy for the FBI to allow Mills to sit in during the agency's interview of Clinton during the email probe. Stop. You never let anybody else sit in an interview between the FBI and someone that may be a person of interest or a suspect. That doesn't happen. Unless you were told to do that. I never did that as an agent. I never did that as an investigator for 2 local sheriff's departments here in the state of California. 41 years total. Never did that once. That's an anomaly. And boy, am I being really kind in saying that. There are serious potential ramifications when one witness attends another witness's interview. Duh. Because that lets one or the other witness know what the other one is saying so that they get to say the same thing and corroborate themselves. You can't see the corruption in that? And finally, it's starting to be exposed, like I told you. Tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg. Lamberth, who was appointed to the bench by President Ronald Reagan, said he did not know Mills had been granted immunity until he read the IG report and learned that, and that she had accompanied Clinton to her interview. The transparency group Judicial Watch initially sued the State Department in 2014, seeking information about the response to the Benghazi attack after the government didn't respond to a FOIA request. Other parallel lawsuits by Judicial Watch are probing issues like Clinton's server, whose existence was revealed in the course of the litigation. And it goes down to the bottom and mentions this, which I find interesting. Then you can remember this. Then National Security Advisor Susan Rice claimed on several talk shows later that very next day, I think it was Sunday if I'm not mistaken, that the attack was caused by a YouTube video, even as emails uncovered after the fact revealed that administration officials knew the incident was a result of terrorism. Stop. Hillary Clinton sent an email that night to Chelsea Clinton, her daughter, saying that the YouTube video was full of crap. Nobody remembers that. I remember it because I have a brain and I also have a memory. Here's another one. This is wonderful and wonderful, but it's completely endemic and continuing. Let's see, if I had to create a meme right now these days, considering what happened this weekend and what happened this past week, it would be something similar to Elizabeth Warren. I'd have a nice picture of Elizabeth Warren, and it would say something like, "This is the poster child for cultural appropriation." But not one leftist, Democrat, or American media maggot has portrayed her in that fact, despite this article. And this is a happy story because it reveals the truth. After Cherokee Nation slams Warren's DNA results, her supporters decide that it's good to hurl aggressive insults right back at the Cherokee Nation. Liberal Democrats on Twitter have launched an all-out smear campaign against the Cherokee Nation because of its decision earlier this week to criticize Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren for apparently exploiting the Native American community for personal and political gain. That's called cultural appropriation. Hello, Elizabeth Warren. Table for one, that's you. Sit down and shut the fuck up. After Warren proudly released her DNA results, which shows she's anywhere from 164th to 1024th Native American, and that nearly 100% white, the 179-year-old tribe released a critical statement blasting her for undermining tribal interests with her continued claims of tribal heritage. And here's a piece of paper which says, this came out in a tweet also, Cherokee Nation Secretary of State Chuck Hoskin Jr. issued the following statement Monday in response. A DNA test is useless to determine tribal citizenship. Period. End of statement. Not only does the left-wing senator have less Native American blood than the average white person in North America, but she has no actual ties to the Native American community. She isn't a member of any tribe, and she doesn't participate in any tribal events. And yet that's how she got into Harvard. Imagine that. Here's another interesting story about, it's happy for me because it reveals the truth. But hey, not just cultural appropriation, let's just steal anything and everything that we can. Remember Elizabeth Warren's book of recipes called Pow Wow Chow. Her recipes were word-for-word copies of a famous French chef's techniques. This is from the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom. Even they're covering this stuff. Massachusetts Democrat Senate candidate Elizabeth Warren is yet again in hot water after allegations have surfaced that she plagiarized her Cherokee air quotes, recipes in the book Pow Wow Chow from the New York Times and other publications. Talk show host Howie Carr released damning evidence that appears to confirm that Mrs. Warren's recipes weren't handed down from generation to generation. They were picked up in the newspaper. Imagine that. But another thing you're not going to hear, except from BZ here, because I love you, and I want you to know about this stuff, because nobody else is going to tell you. The headline is this. Then it goes, if this weren't so stupid, I'd be laughing my ass off. But the LDAM purposely obfuscates to make sure you don't hear what I'm going to tell you. Elizabeth Warren ancestor rounded up Cherokees for the Trail of Tears. Uh-oh. Okay, wait a minute. If I had a producer, it would have sounded something similar to this. Elizabeth Warren ancestor rounds up Cherokees for the Trail of Tears. But, of course, I don't have a producer, and that's not what you heard. For over a quarter of a century, Elizabeth Warren has described herself as a Native American. When recently asked to provide evidence of her ancestry, she pointed to an unsubstantiated claim on an 1894 Oklahoma Territory marriage license application by her great-great-granduncle, William J. Crawford, that his mother, O.C. Sarah Smith Crawford, Ms. Warren's great-great-great-grandmother, was a Cherokee. After researching the story, it's obvious that her family lore is just fiction. It was pointed out no evidence supports this claim. O.C. Sarah Smith Crawford had no Cherokee heritage, was listed as white in the census of 1860, and was most likely half Swedish and half English, Scottish, or German, or some combination thereof. The actual 1894 marriage license makes no claim of Cherokee ancestry. But this is better. Wait. As BZ says, wait, there's more. But the most stunning discovery about the life of O.C. Sarah Smith Crawford is that her husband, Ms. Warren's great-great-great-grandfather, was apparently a member of the Tennessee militia who rounded up Cherokees from their family homes in the southeastern United States and herded them into government-built stockades in what was then called Ross's Landing, now Chattanooga, Tennessee, the point of origin for the horrific Trail of Tears, which began in January 1837. Perfect. I gotta go. I have to do this too. Now we're just going kind of scattershot, kind of stream of consciousness. We remember that Obama could have done this, I suppose. Didn't. Now, President Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, has managed to grab Pastor Andrew Brunson from Turkey and bring him back. And now this is Pastor Brunson in the White House being thankful that at least one president gave a shit about getting him
We're
back.
there for 25 years, and we love the Turkish people.
Great.
And
That's very nice.
We pray for their blessing.
That's very
sincere.
nice. That's very nice. And I know you do love the Turkish people. They're great people. I know that. They're great people.
we would like to pray for you. We pray for you often. As a family, my wife and I pray for you.
Thank you. Well, I need it probably more than anybody on this planet. So that would be very nice. Thank you.
We pray for you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Pastor Brunson is offering a prayer.
Okay. So you can, I'll just do it from here.
Lord God, I ask that you pour out your Holy Spirit on President Trump, that you give him supernatural wisdom to accomplish all the plans you have for this country and for him. I ask that you give him wisdom on how to lead this country into righteousness. I ask that you give him perseverance and endurance and courage to stand the truth. I ask that you protect him from slander, from enemies, from those who would undermine. I ask that you make him a great blessing to this country. Fill him with your wisdom and strength and perseverance. And we bless him. May he be a great blessing to our country. In Jesus' name, we bless you. Amen.
That was Pastor Andrew Brunson. Let's see. Oh, a little bit more about that story, as a matter of fact. Andrew Brunson came home, and it was, let's see, I think it was Saturday that President Trump welcomed Pastor Andrew Brunson into the White House, saying that it was a satisfying end to a very long journey. And then the happy stories keep on coming. Because leftists are not really interested in telling you about this either. So I will. It's up to me now, isn't it? Of course, here's another article. Minnesota court orders Keith Ellison divorce records unsealed. Didn't hear about that, though, did you? A county court has ordered Representative Keith Ellison's divorce records to be unsealed, allowing more scrutiny into the Democrat's private life as he fights off the abuse allegations, upending his campaign for Minnesota Attorney General. Hennepin County Family Court referee Jason Hutchison released an order Friday saying the records of Mr. Ellison's 2012 split with his ex-wife Kim Ellison will be unsealed October 17th. Hey, that was yesterday. Haven't heard any newest updates on that, though. Ruling that open access is the presumption in Minnesota. I have to go along with that. Then there's this concomitant story, which I believe falls into the happy story category as well. From the Daily Caller, domestic abuse allegations taking a toll in Ellison's race for state AG. Accusations of domestic abuse appear to be taking their toll on Minnesota Democrat Representative Keith Ellison and his quest to become the next state attorney general. As the New York Times notes, Ellison seemed to be a picture-perfect candidate in a progressive blue state, especially since he served as the leader of the Democrat National Committee. But that was before ex-girlfriend Karen Monahan began accusing him, of abuse. Monahan, emotional and physical abuse. I saw the copy of this. This is actual evidence. Evidence is something that you have in your hands and your fingers, and you can show to people with a specific time and a date. Other than any of the allegations that were leveled against Judge Brett Kavanaugh, now I love to say this, Associate Justice Kavanaugh. Now, here is a video that I need to play for you where, and I can't think of this guy's name. Maybe somebody in chat can tell me. But this was a senator who's walking down a hallway below the Capitol in the corridor, and he gets braced by a mother attempting to use her children as props during the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. And listen to the salient and pitch point perfect rejoinder to the mom about using her children as stage props.
Stand up right now. Senator Cassidy, can you please apologize to my children for
Senator Cassidy.
ruining their futures?
Hey, guess what?
Can you please apologize to my children for ruining their futures? Let's go back a little bit. For ruining their futures. Let's play it again.
For ruining their futures.
Hey, guess what? If in the future somebody makes it, I know your parents are using you as tools.
No,
but if
we're
in the
not
future,
using them as
in the
tools.
future,
We're
if
not
somebody
using them
makes
as
an
tools.
allegation against you and there's no
But
proof for it, you will be okay.
And you should
Thank
hope
you.
that they go through
But
a
what about
full
black
due
men?
process.
What about black men?
Ramming it in
Black
to get...
men get presumption of guilty, but white men get the presumption of innocence. So what about black men if you use that analogy? Come out of the bathroom.
Shame on you.
That's all they have to say.
Don't run in the bathroom. Don't run and hide. And listen to what we have to say. Listen to what we have to say.
Shame on you for not believing women and for ruining my daughter's lives.
Somehow, he's responsible for ruining that mother's daughter's life. Are you fucking kidding me? And the answer is, obviously, no. I'm not kidding you. Not at all. Now I need to tell you some things, and I told you not to listen to polls, but occasionally you do. Because these are the polls that don't get talked about. So I tell you what we're going to do. It's 9:28. It's 12:28 way on the East Coast. It's 17:34 and 195.723.725 subparagraph 4 seconds time in Bolivian time. So it's just a hair early, but I want to shift gears and get back into a more positive mood. Yeah, we've been doing some great happy stories, but now I want to tell you how and why perhaps the mood of the United States has changed, and perhaps how I, in my opinion, believe this is going to positively affect the outcome of November 6th.
You're listening to the
It Ain't All Bad
Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
what?
thingies. Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on SHRmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you go.
Against tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the final segment on the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct, right here from the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Network studios. This is not my bedroom. This is not my mommy's basement. My mommy died in 2002. My daddy died in 2009. And I'm not in a basement. This is a real honest-to-God studio with a real honest-to-God kitchen and bathroom and shower, because this is what we're paying for. So, just thought I'd tell you about that. Well, I said don't listen to polls. Well, maybe you can listen to a couple, because these are the polls that the LDAM are not going to tell you about. And it's all a big political machination to suppress information and emphasize other information, indicating that you bastard conservatives, you are going to lose your asses come November 6th. I should tell you that's 19 days away. 3 weeks from now, Thursday, we will be talking, and we will have spoken for 2 days straight now about the results of what's going to happen on November 6th. And everyone, the LDAM, would have you believe that it's going to be the ruination, the absolute, complete, and utter ruination of anything and everything conservative. Let me just throw this out there for people to consider. I said some of this last night on the Sackheads Against Tyranny with Sackheads Clint. I believe that the conservatives and the GOP are going to keep the Senate. They may even gain a seat or two. I believe that the GOP are going to keep the House. They may even gain a seat or two. Now, apparently, Rush Limbaugh was interviewed tonight on the Sean Hannity show. I haven't had the chance to say it, or see it rather, but apparently Rush Limbaugh was saying something similar to, the Democrats really have nothing, they have no inkling of what's up for them on November 6th. I tend to believe that because there are many, many factors that people are purposely not mentioning. And so I'm here to mention them to you to try to buttress you and invigorate people here. Don't give up. All is not lost. All we have to do is go out and vote absentee. And on November 6th, make sure that nothing deters us from getting out and voting. This next article is why. I keep saying that my civics teacher in the 60s, Mr. Helms, and there's nothing that I remember about Mr. Helms except this quote and what he looked like. He was about 5'7", 5'8". He was a leftist all his own because after all it was, that's right, he was in California. And he said he had red hair, screaming red hair, and a screaming red goatee. I will never forget that about Mr. Helms. But he said this: Democrats don't win elections. Republicans lose them. Texas Dan, welcome. Great to see you in chat. You popped in there. Come back anytime that you want to. Oh, Texas Dan. See what I did there? See how I know you? I uncovered you, but I didn't uncover you. Anyway, Dan, good to see you. There's this article from, of all places, the San Francisco Chronicle. That's in the Bay Area. That's leftist central, except for Sacramento. All of California is leftist central. This article says, despite rampant voter enthusiasm, the reality is this: many people don't plan to vote in November. Clarksville, Tennessee. Interest in the midterm elections is at a fever pitch in much of the country, with both Democrats and Republicans far more passionate than they've been in more than a decade. Could this be the year that Tennessee's Montgomery County shows up to vote? In essence, what the article says is no. Very few people are going to show up to vote. Now, how does this translate to you and to me? This translates to this. All we have to do as Republicans, look, I'm wearing red. Look, I'm wearing a MAGA hat for the first time ever. Never assumed, never thought that I would ever be wearing, much less having purchased at a ridiculously low price, this MAGA hat with the United States flag right here, right next to the headphones, right there. Because I was pulled kicking and screaming and stamping like a little child into the Trump category. Because Trump, he weren't my man. Ted Cruz was my man. And then I watched what was happening with Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. And I began to realize he's actually getting shit done. And he pisses me off with a lot of the things that he says. Stop, Don. Stop. You talk too much. You got to know when to shut up. But, dude, you are getting results. And I got to tell you, I'm a results man. You've dragged me kicking and screaming over into the, yeah, I'm with you, dude. I want results. And you're giving me results. Here's another article, pollster Zogby. Zogby can frequently go left. And this is why you need to hear this stuff. This is from, of all places, the Washington Examiner. This is from Paul Bedard. Pollsters Ogby, Dem House win, quote, far from certain and elusive. And a Senate win is nearly impossible. This week's White House report card finds President Trump still riding high after the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court and buoyed by reports that Democrats have not locked down control of the House. Pollster Zogby, who gave the president a B+ in this week's report card, said it is nearly impossible for the Democrats to win the Senate. And worse, he said winning the House remains, quote, elusive, despite predictions that a blue wave or a blue tsunami will give the Democrats a nice majority cushion. Listen to that. Take that in. Process it. Hold it close in your heart. Fear not. All you got to do is go out and vote. It's the power to keep the House and the Senate is in your hands. I told you in the first hour, I put my money where my mouth is. I gave $250 to one particular individual on the GOP who was having a tough time and another particular individual on the GOP who was having a tough time. So I can't say, well, I wasn't doing anything. Yeah, I was. I was putting my bucks where my mouth is and my radio show where my mouth is, because my mouth is where my radio show is. But fear not. All's not lost. The LDAM wants you to think that it's lost. All is lost. Oh, it's terrible. We're going to get the House and the Senate, and we are going to crush you grisly bastard conservatives for daring to do the same stuff, politically speaking, that we, the Democrats, have done to you for years, and all you do as a rejoinder, Republicans, is say, thank you, sir, can I have another? And then the one guy comes, Donald Trump, and says, no, you're not going to have another, and no, I'm not bending over for you anymore, and by the way, there's going to be a little bit of pushback, and I think I'll ridicule the crap out of you, as a matter of fact. And they couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. That was one happy story. Here's another. CNBC survey. Soaring economic optimism, or maybe it was 8-pronged, it could be optimism, points to no blue wave in 2018. This is from CNBC, from a survey. Did you hear about this survey? The answer is no. That's my job to bring this to you and instill you with confidence and a commitment. All is not lost. Fuck it. It's not lost. It's in the palm of your hand. And all that hand has to do is just get your absentee, vote red, vote red, vote red, put it in the mail, or better yet, drive it right down to your election board and hand it to them physically. Saves you some postage, too, and it gives you some immediacy, and you get a receipt from that. Or election day, whether it's raining or snowing or the sun is shining, or, I don't know, you just felt like going out and don't feel like going out and see a movie. Make it a priority to go vote November 6th. The power is in your hands. You think that it's in the hands of the leftists, the Democrats, and the American media maggots. That's what they want you to think. The power is in your hands. You have it. My civics professor, my civics teacher was correct back in the 60s. Wow, that dates me, doesn't it? Texas Dan says in chat, by the way, Republicans are dangerous to the socialist future of this country. Why can't Republicans be peaceful and hardworking like the Democrats? Thanks, Dan. I need to laugh. I really do. And it is funny. It's funny because the Democrats, the LDAM, think it's all falling apart. And it's all falling apart on your part. And it may well be if we don't connect and get together. I'm going to get to this this poll in just a second from CNBC. There are a lot of things that I should care to point out to you that the LDAM are not factoring. Dan says LMAO. Agreed. Right? Oh, wait, that wasn't close enough. Right? There we go. Another one. Why not? Enough of that. Anyway, What they're not factoring in is a major, two things I proffer, two things. Now, whether it's right or it's wrong, I don't know. I'm not here to say it's right or it's wrong. But I can tell you this. There are a lot of people that are out there in the United States of America who are watching what's happening in terms of violence and people getting hit, people getting spit on. The woman in New York City who got called out and was called reprehensible names and told that because she was wearing a shirt or a hat that supported the NYPD. And she lost her husband, an NYPD officer in 9/11. This guy who's a member of Antifa is behind her and saying, good, I'm glad your husband died. You're a piece of crap. It's people like that. It's incidents like that that are making people hold what they're thinking inside. But I proffer you this. There are lots of people in the United States holding that inside. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to let that out on that ballot November 6th. Because quite frankly, they are tired of this bullshit. From specifically the Democrats and leftists and Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Every fucking life matters in the United States of America. Blue lives matter. Black lives matter too, because the uniform I wore before I retired in 2016 just happened to be black. So yeah, black lives do matter. So the Democrats and the LDAM have not figured out for the people, the quiet people. The quiet people. What do they always say? It's the quiet people you have to watch out for. And the Democrats don't understand that it is the quiet people that they're going to have to watch out for. If you're driving down the highway right now and you're an American trucker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And on November 6th, and I hope you vote absentee, and when you get your ballot, wherever your post office is, whether it comes to your house or a P.O. box, get that absentee ballot and vote, please. Black, white, brown, I don't give a crap about your color. If you're a conservative, that's what's important. If you keep America moving, that's what's important. And if you're a conservative, you're listening to this show. I don't want you to be safe, but I want you to vote. Also, the second thing that Democrats are not taking into account is the walk-away movement. Because I spoke to Brandon Straka 2 weeks ago. I spoke to him for an entire hour. He said of all the 300-plus interviews that he's had, mine was one of the most enjoyable, if not the most enjoyable, and he'd come back on the show anytime, and I was that was gratifying to hear. But he's having his walk-away march in D.C. October 26th, 27th, and 28th. And I can tell you that every personal testimony, every testimonial I've watched on social media, on computers, Twitter, Facebook, what he wants is people to give their own personal testimonials as to why it is that they want to walk away. And not one of these people that I've watched has been a Caucasoid. They haven't been white. They've been black. They've been Hispanic. They've been Asian. They've been females. They've been members of the LGBT community. And they're all saying one unifying thing. The Democrats don't represent me anymore. And this is going to be the first election that I'm going to vote conservative. I'm going to vote for the Republicans. This could never have happened. The only way it happened is because the Democrats pushed them there. And the Democrats made a wrong-headed assumption that people are monolithic in their voting and their thinking, and they are not. They are individuals. And this goes into perfect keeping why Democrats and the LDAM, they don't give a crap about you anymore. They sure as shit don't give a crap about Caucasoids. Caucasoid males, older Caucasoids, screw you. You're out in the ozone. They couldn't give one crap about you. And all you traitors who aren't going to vote monolithically for them in perpetuity, you're dead. You're dead to me. You're dead to me. So that's why they have to have the fresh blood of illegals. They got to have that fresh blood because you are a traitor to the Democrats. And tell you what, I think on November 6th, there's going to be an assload of traitors that are going to go into those voting booths and they're going to vote red right down the line, right down the ticket. Boom, bitty, boom, bitty, boom, bitty, boom. And I don't think the Democrats are ready for that. Now, am I going to say that this is going to be a red tsunami or a red wave? No, I'm not going to say that. I'd be a happy little camper if we just keep the numbers that we have right now. But hey, an extra couple of seats couldn't hurt. Because definitely, you let the Democrats take the Senate or the House or both, everything is going to be upside down. And everything that we've accomplished is going to be turned upside down. Because quite frankly, I have no problem by saying I know for a fact I'm right and they're wrong. Because we've watched how they work. My way works best. Freedom and liberty works best. Less government works best. Because if there's one thing that somebody's going to have to attack very near in the future, is this massive deficit. Now tell me, who can handle it better, do you think? Well, we've seen Republicans add to it, especially during Bushy. And Bush spent like a drunken sailor. That's none of these. So who can handle the deficit? You think Hillary Clinton could? You think she's not going to add? Yeah, we've made more money in tax revenue than at any other time in our history. But pretty soon, this debt that we have is going to have to be handled. And I know who I want to handle it more. Let's go back to the CNBC polling. Soaring economic optimism means that it is unlikely the 2018 midterms will be a wave election. America is experiencing a record-breaking era of good feelings. Economically speaking, optimism about the economy, measured by Americans who are optimistic about current conditions in the future, hit an all-time high in CNBC's All-American Survey, the Financial News Network reported Monday. But you're not hearing about that. All you're hearing is the negative crap. That's why I'm saying you can't listen to ABC, CBS, NBC. They have an agenda, and the agenda is to put any leftist into power, because putting a leftist into power keeps them in power. Do you know why newsrooms are crumbling all across the nation? Yeah, it's the internet, BZ. It's the internet, dude. Aren't you aware? Bullshit. That's part of it. But the other part, just like the Sacramento Bee and down in McClatchy organization down at 21st and Q that I used to work for, is because everything that comes out of that newspaper, every headline, every story is planted in the Sacramento Bee, and people are sick of it. They're sick of it. The New York Times lies with impunity. The Washington Times, the LA Times, they lie with impunity. People know it. People know it. And so these newsrooms are dying. They are moribund. Look that up, moribund. Now, I haven't talked to Dan for a while because I'll be frank. Dan has his own stuff, and he dropped SHR like a hot rock. So we haven't been talking very much. I understand, Dan, that's a business decision. Dan had to do what Dan had to do because he had to do it. Let me tell you one thing about Dan Butcher and people who don't know what he is. He's a media magnate, as I call him, M-A-G-N-A-T-E, back in Texas. But he also sees the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is he's filling a niche and a vacuum that needs to be. Nature abhors a vacuum. Dan is filling a vacuum. He's taking news back down locally, and he's giving people what they want. They want to know what's happening in their community, and they don't want it to be slanted far damn left. They're tired of that crap. The New York Times, their newsrooms are bleeding people. They're fighting amongst themselves at the New York Times. The old gray lady, the Washington Post. where their newest motto is "Democracy dies in darkness." BZ's motto for the Washington Post is "Democracy dies in D.C." And you're part of it. Sorry for this crazy, wacky, extemporaneous stump speech, I suppose. But we have to realize we have the power in our fingertips, and it's right in the palm of our hands, and we can utilize that power on November 6th. Leisman said the CNBC pollsters think it's likely the positive results on the economy may mean this election will not see a blue wave of Democrats taking seats from Republicans. And that's exactly what the LDAM, the leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots aren't telling you. And that's purposeful. It's a lie. They're not going to tell you these things. Here's one of the reasons why. This will probably be my last cut for the night. Oh, okay. He's a perfect example. Up until this thing with Kavanaugh, have you seen Lindsey Graham go crazy? Lindsey Graham, as we talked on Sackheads last night, now this crap for Lindsey Graham is personal. And he said he's going to go out and actively campaign against some of his own Republicans for the way that Brett Kavanaugh was treated recently. This is Lindsey Graham, and I think...
Presumed innocent. What kind of country do you want, and who do you want to run it? Do you want these people who spit on me and yell at me being in charge, or do you want a more orderly process? Judge Kavanaugh represents the best in our legal community. He was treated like garbage, despicable, and I hope they pay a price. Like walking outside last night, you know, every 9 people are pretty nice. The 10th one wants to pick a fight. I've never seen it like this. I did impeachment. I've never seen it like this. They're going nuts on the other side. The only thing they have left is to yell at you and intimidate you. That's what this election's about. If you want people running the country who will give in to that, then vote Democrat. I wouldn't know what that's like.
Is it worth it, Senator?
Oh, absolutely.
Why do you do it? Why do you press on?
Go to Afghanistan.
Thank God. Thank God we got somebody with some guts. Who the hell knew it was going to be Lindsey Graham, for God's sake?
Go to Iraq. These guys and gals over there are keeping terrorists from coming here. I am trying to make sure that conservative judges get on the court when we win. I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan. When they win, they get to choose. We won. He picked the best person on the list.
Thank you.
Brett Kavanaugh, and they tried to destroy his life, and I hope it blows up in their face.
Thank you. By God, I couldn't have said that any better myself. Blue wave, blue tsunami, come November 6th? I don't think so.
Monsieur has unlocked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelins Berserk Bobcat Saloon live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at bzepp and my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. My original intro music is by Possessed Tranquility at ReverbNation.com. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by the Pratt & Whitney Engine Company. Thrust, you can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I definitely will be concerting in less than an hour. And thank you, and I mean this very sincerely, thank you for listening live, listening to the podcast. Thanks for being in chat. Thank you for engaging in chat. And thanks for listening in podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Truckers, keep trucking. Americans, keep being great. Vote red in November. Vote red in November. Overwhelm the vote. God bless. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you next Tuesday.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jimbo.
Good night, and good luck.